All of this health and wellness for your kids can't be achieved unless you yourself are taking care of your body and your mind and your soul. The key to your kids' health, or the key to sort of decreasing your child's anxiety, is to not make them feel harried, and also the state of the mother or father's sort of overall well-being, right? So if they have a stressed out mom or a stressed out dad, that's sort of like a key indicator of their anxiety levels later on in life, because they're constantly dealing with this anxiety, and so they think it's a normal way to be. Hi, I'm Kathy Sacoulas, and welcome to another episode of the Black Belt Parenting Podcast. Today, we're bringing you an episode about one of my favorite topics, which is health and wellness. So with a background of nursing and sort of an interest in the medical field, this is of great importance to me, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why the martial arts appealed to me so much, and why the school has become more, for me, like a wellness center. The biggest task for parenting is to keep our kids healthy, right? So if they're not healthy, then they won't be able to accomplish anything or actually feel the joys of life. So healthy for me is like the one wish that I always have when I'm blowing out birthday candles on my birthday. And that's for my family to be healthy. And I believe that's the wish that a lot of people have all around. So without health, really, you don't have wealth, right? You have nothing. So when I speak about health and wellness, I'm speaking about mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. When I first thought about doing a wellness center prior to meeting my husband, one of the things that really was important to me was treating the whole person. After doing nursing in the hospital for years and realizing that we were reacting to illness and just treating the physical symptoms, I also saw the importance of treating the person's mental and emotional well-being. And having treated patients that were dealing with cancer specifically, I also noted how spirituality also played a big role. And wherever you're coming from, whatever spiritual background you have, it doesn't even have to deal with more religion. It just has to deal with, like, you know, your belief system. I think it has a great deal to do with your health as well. So when I was thinking about applying this to the martial arts, it really is inherent in everything that we do, all around. So physically, obviously, we're performing fitness exercises in our warm-up, and the act of doing martial arts itself is an exercise. What's crazy is when sometimes adults join the school, they think they have to come in shape. So I'll get the excuse like, I really can't start now, but I'm going to get myself in shape and then I'll start the school. And then I have to stop them and say, no, you're specifically coming here to look for fitness, and you can accomplish all your fitness goals purely by doing the martial arts. And the great thing about it is it's not repetitive and it's not redundant. And in fact, it's sort of a byproduct of the martial arts. While you're learning, you're actually getting in shape. And I think that's the beauty of what we do here, and martial arts in general, is that when you're doing the martial arts, your body and your mind are getting fit at the same time. So physically, you're not thinking about it. It's not like going to the gym and like having to do repetitive weights and counting it out and making sure you get through a round. You know, you're here, the hour or hour and a half is up, and all of a sudden you're winded, you're sweating, but you're smiling and you've also learned something. So in the martial arts, you know, physical fitness is actually something that comes along with training. And if that's one of your goals, it really is something that you can accomplish. We've had students come in here and over 3 months lose close to 30 pounds like that, you know, and it's not something that they specifically might have been looking for initially, but it's something that has come. And at the same time, it's not something that just happens and then it goes away. The weight stays off. And in fact, they get into better physical shape. So for long-term effects, you know, for physical fitness, martial arts really does play a huge role. Mentally, as you go through the different stages of martial arts, again, you're going to get that discipline in your training. And with that discipline comes mental strength, right? So we do that with specific things in the school. And again, it's inherent in the martial arts. So through rank promotion, through testing, you're going to have to go through some mental toughness for that. In day-to-day partner drills and classes, you're also testing your mental strength, the learning of intricate patterns and combinations. Especially with things like the Filipino martial arts, you're developing new neural pathways, which really increases your brain capacity. And it's great because within our school, we offer so many different arts where you're targeting different parts of the body. So like the Kali will hit your neural pathways. You'll get some anaerobic exercise in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You'll get some aerobic exercise in your JKD or in your Muay Thai practice. So it kind of hits you all around, and you're hitting all aspects physically and mentally. And then finally, emotionally, your ability to react in a more logical way is something that evolves with your training. And so I like to say that your emotional maturity grows as a result of your martial arts training. So kids who have come in here who've been very emotionally immature, where they're just very reactive emotionally to a situation. I think this also speaks to some adults who've started martial arts. It actually allows them to take a step back. They learn how to communicate effectively and not react purely with emotion. Their ability to remain stoic in rather emotional situations grows, and they're able to learn from their mistakes and move on with without the reaction of shame, embarrassment, or upset. So they can have those emotions, right? But the way that they show it is very different. So the expression could be detrimental to them if they're reacting in a way that is emotionally responsive rather than logical. All of those ways, right, in the martial arts, we've seen the effects in everyone who's joined and who's remained with us. And health and wellness for us is a major mission in why we started the school. So we like to say in our mission that we want people to transform their lives through the vehicle of the martial arts. And it's specifically through this means, right? The physical, mental, and emotional growth and health and well-being. And I stand by that fervently when I'm telling people about our program and how it can positively affect your life. I don't think I would be here where I am today in terms of my mindset without the martial arts, because it gives you this sense of peace, it gives you the sense of physical well-being, and it allows you to kind of understand that there's a way to get there through this process. And so that's one of the things that I hope to transfer over to the students, and that they can bring that over into their daily life. So in parenting, I think it's really important to talk about the whole child. We often are just looking at the physical well-being of the kids, and I think we have to look again at the whole child. And going back to what we spoke about in past episodes, talking about getting to know your child and what their specific needs are is also the best approach in how to deal with their health and well-being. For me specifically with my two kids, my youngest child is very easy with her nutrition. From the very beginning, she ate whatever she was given. She'll do whatever exercises you put in front of her. If you challenge her with something to do, she'll do it. She's very easy that way and trainable and coachable. My older daughter is a little bit more stubborn, more picky. She's always been a picky eater. She's always been really specific about the activities she wants to do. Also picky with that, so it was really hard to find what we would do to kind of mentally challenge her, nutritionally challenge her, and also physically challenge her. And it's always been, and it continues to be, something that I have to check in with her to see what she's going to be motivated and willing to do. So in order to really affect your child's physical and mental and emotional well-being, you really have to communicate with them, and you have to really know what it is for them specifically that's going to motivate them to do the right thing by their bodies and their mind. And sometimes it's going to be a challenge. So physically, obviously, nutrition plays a really big role. And depending on your child, right, I think you set the tone for it. I will tell you with my older child, I was really staunch about nutrition. And it turned out she was a picky eater. So no matter how hard I tried to push vegetables and do all the right things, I was getting pushback. And it was really very frustrating. I mean, it still is for me and my husband. But, it was imperative that we found a way to challenge her and to bring her into how to better her nutrition, right? Bring her grocery shopping, have her help prepare meals, have her choose new and different things and kind of open her mind up. She's sort of closed-minded in those ways. And so engaging her in her nutrition became really important, and then also role modeling for her that nutrition is not about what tastes good necessarily all the time, right? It's about nourishing your body and learning that the taking in of food and drink has to do with energizing yourself and keeping yourself healthy. So like that little transition of understanding that, that may taste really good, but understanding the consequences of eating bad food all the time on your body could have a really bad effect on how you feel, right? How you're moving around, your energy levels through the day. And as your body changes, you can really definitely see how nutrition can play a role. It says a lot. Like, I've been doing this martial arts thing for a really long time, and I see the level of nutrition, how it's kind of decreased over the years. I think it's taking a turn now. And I hope that parents are a little bit more vigilant about the nutrition, just because in this country, it's so easy to get everything, and what's fast is easy. Time and having the energy to do things as a parent, it's so much easier to hit that fast food place than it is to cook up a meal and prep meals on the weekend for the whole week. Doing that little shift, right, of preparing meals can make a world of difference in your child's physical being and in their emotional well-being and mental well-being. So again, it's a time investment, but you can engage the whole family in taking part in it. As they get older, have them prepare their own meals. My younger daughter prepares her own lunches, and so she gets excited to go to the grocery store and make up her little bento box of like vegetables and fruit and sandwiches, and it's her preparation, and it really makes her more aware of like what she's putting in her body. So nutrition is huge, and I didn't value it as a kid. I just ate, what I was given. Fortunately for me, my mother was very traditional in the way that she prepared meals, and so we always had vegetables, and we always had really well-balanced meal. As I'm busy, I'm working, and I'm taking care of the house, it gets really hard to kind of get to that place, and I've only established that later on in my parenthood because I've noticed the difference that nutrition can make in the whole family. And along those same lines, having meals that are specifically targeted throughout the day, that are regular and that are set, again, here comes the discipline, becomes very important. Are you guys sitting down and having a meal together and really sitting down and taking the time to enjoy that meal, or are you rushing through meals, right? Are you yourself doing that? Those things are really important, passing down good nutritional habits of how you eat through the day, when you eat, how often you're eating, nourishing your body with water, hydration, all those things, like that requires a schedule. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. And one of the things I try and do with the leadership kids here is try and get them on a routine with their nutrition, to have them understand that you're not just planning your day academically, you should actually plan your day with your meals as well. Rest, meals, all of that should be planned. The second thing physically, again, is exercise. And one of the things I want to really emphasize is the notion of play. Within our school, a lot of our classes end with games. But within those games, those kids are moving and shaking, and I love to see them sweating and smiling. Because in play, naturally, you're growing and you're also getting fit. But it doesn't feel like it. It's similar to what I was talking about before with the martial arts. Like, you're taking class, but you don't really feel it. Play is the same thing for a child. And so it makes me sad sometimes to pass by playgrounds and they're empty, because I think those playgrounds should be full. Parks should be full. And the kids should be venturing out and exploring and being outside. And I talked about it in the last episode where parents are so inundated with like bad information and bad things, and they're so afraid to have the kids go out because they're afraid they're going to get hurt or something bad is going to happen to them. But their kids are losing the opportunity to play and explore and really develop physically on the playground. A lot of kids come into the school at age 3 here, and sometimes it's their first time doing anything like jumping or balancing or running. I feel like I'm seeing it more and more where this is their first experience with that, and the fear that they have is so great. And I'm hoping that parents move away from that and that they're bringing their kids out more to play, ride bikes, skateboard. There's so much fun stuff to do outside, and it really helps them develop physically, but also mentally, right? And so exercise in the form of play is really a great way to do things. And I hope more people do that. I think that the opportunities are so great to go outside and play and be in nature, even when it's cold outside. Go out in the snow and go sledding or go skiing. All those things are really fun ways to exercise and to get the kids off their devices and playing. And then there's always sleep and rest. We're so inundating our kids with activities sometimes that we don't allow them to rest their brains, rest their minds, rest their bodies. And so it could be them just lounging around the house and just chilling out, or, getting enough sleep. There's a lot of times kids come in here and on a Saturday morning and they're so exhausted from the week, and I can see it in their faces and in their bodies. I'll often ask them, like, did you get enough sleep? And they're always like, no way. Either they've been on their device all night, they're playing video games, or they're exhausted from all the activities that they're doing. So planned rest and sleep time is important to put into their schedule too. Giving them the opportunity to be bored, right, and not have anything to do is so valuable, so that they can figure things out and so that they can get some rest with their mind, so it's not constantly racing. They're so attacked by information and technology, so sometimes it's good to just slow down and not have anything to do. And then finally, physically, hygiene is so important. Them taking care of themselves, just keeping clean, learning how to self-care, I think keeps them really healthy. It helps them with their self-esteem. I mean, we talked about this when it came to respect, right? Learning how to respect themselves, developing confidence, and hygiene plays a huge role in that. And the more independence they can have with their own hygiene, the better, right? Because then their environment will be clean, they'll be clean, and they'll know that when they go out in different places that they have to keep good hygiene so that they don't get sick. But that whole interplay of play, which is exercise, resting and sleeping, hygiene and nutrition, physically makes a world of difference. And it's not just their physical well-being, it can hit them in all aspects emotionally. So with my teenager especially, I notice if she doesn't get enough sleep, if her diet is off, boy, do I feel it, because she's so moody. And so sometimes I have to sit down and be like, okay, we got to work on this schedule right now. Maybe you get to bed a little bit earlier, and we got to work on how you're eating throughout the day and what you're eating. Let's take a look at the snacks that you're taking in. So, reevaluating all of that as the kids' bodies are changing really plays a huge role too. The second way that we can kind of help them mentally, right? Of course, we do this all the time with school, challenging them with extracurricular activities, having them read. All of those things, challenging them mentally, really helps develop their brain health. For me, as I'm getting older, I really think this is important too, making those new neural pathways and challenging myself mentally, doing crossword puzzles and stuff like that, or reading. I don't think that's just isolated to people who are older. I think kids need it too. Some kids play chess, really challenges them, but really moving away from just school and academics, but making them do other things that will challenge their brain, even through play. So mentally, it helps them develop ways to do new problem solving and really being resourceful. So mentally challenging your kids and developing new neural pathways is very important for their health. And then emotionally, which these days I feel like a lot of people are in need of, because kids are feeling a lot of anxiety with all the information that's being like pummeled at them. I think the best way that we can support our kids emotionally is to make sure that they know that they're loved and that you have good parent-child communication. When I'm not paying attention to my kids or I'm not present, that's when I feel like they're emotionally not as good as they could be. And there have been times in my life when I've been very, very stressed out with work and housework. And so when I'm that way, they feed off of that. And so for me, having emotional well-being directly affects my kids' emotional well-being. And so I have to role model that, and I have to be in communication with them on how to really manage their stress and be emotionally good through communication. You also want to really foster good social circles so that they have a good social network that's going to support them and cheerlead them and make sure that they feel like they're emotionally supported throughout any obstacles that they might have. And then encouraging them to have healthy forms of expression. We talked about this on the training floor. Like, you can either become emotionally reactive or you can learn ways to healthily express your emotions. We often have words at the end of class where we describe different ways to powerfully react to something in a positive way. So we'll do like a mat chat with the kids and talk about what's a healthy way to express your anger, or what's a healthy way to express sadness. And all of those things need to be expressed and not held within. So finding ways to deal with disappointment and frustration and anger in a way that you're not hurting yourself or anybody else is really important to communicate to your kids. And don't stifle them when they're feeling that way. Allow them the time and give them the space to do those things, as long as they're not hurting somebody else. I learned from somebody that I was speaking to that sometimes all you just need to be is just a presence. So when they're going through something like that, especially with the older kids, not try to solve their problems, but just be there as an extra layer of support to let them know, like, no matter how you are, and no matter who you are, you will always be loved and supported. And in that way, they develop this feeling of security, and they understand that these emotions are normal and that they should express them, because holding it in can just lead to physical manifestation of illness. Which leads me to you as a parent. I spoke about this in the episode about taking care of yourself and self-care for the parent. But all of this health and wellness for your kids can't be achieved unless you yourself are taking care of your body and your mind and your soul. I was watching a reel on Instagram, and it was something like, the key to your kids' health, or the key to sort of decreasing your child's anxiety, is to not make them feel harried, and also this state of the mother or father's sort of overall well-being, right? So if they have a stressed out mom or a stressed out dad, that's sort of like a key indicator of their anxiety levels later on in life, because they're constantly dealing with this anxiety, and so they think it's a normal way to be, or it's a way you have to be. And I think I'm a result of that as well, because my parents were very stressed out here, and especially my father was living a life of like trying to sort of assimilate into the United States as an immigrant, working a job, going to school, and having a lot of stress, and coming home and kind of bringing that home and not knowing how to express it. My sister and I took it on, and we both deal with like levels of anxiety. And what I'm trying to learn how to do is manage it so that my kids don't inherit that as well. But because I thought it was a normal way to be, in the beginning of parenting, I was noticing it and seeing the impact it was having on my kids. And I realized that I could change that. So my harried way of being, I've kind of slowed down, and I've been more deliberate in how I deal with them and my emotions, and taking a step back and not being so reactive, and not blowing up because that emotional well-being is now being transferred over. And I see that as I slow down and as I take a step back and as I breathe and I'm more calm, so too are my children. In the same vein, taking care of my own health, how I'm eating, as I'm preparing food for my kids, so I'm preparing food for myself, which I never did. When in my youth, I would just be like, okay, what can I get now? Or I'm hungry, I better get something. So it was very reactive when I was like in my 20s and 30s. And then now it's like I'm cooking at 8 o'clock in the morning to prepare a meal for like the whole day. Or on the weekends, I'm thinking about what's the meal plan going to be for the week. And I never thought I would be that kind of person, but I realized the importance of that when it comes to my own health and my state of mind and my mood throughout the day. I'm a better person because I'm establishing routines for myself when it comes to sleeping and eating and caring for my body and exercise. So as I've learned to do that for myself, the natural progression of that is that it's being transferred over to my kids. It's so easy for me to like plan for them, and then I forgot about myself, but now I've been able to kind of incorporate the whole family into the planning, and the day just goes a lot more smoothly. The weeks go smoothly. And in the end, as I'm going into my older years or the second half of my life, I think this deliberate planning is going to have a positive effect on my own health, which in turn is going to take a positive turn on my kids. I finally just wanted to talk about, your kids' health and your intuition when it comes to it. As a nurse, I think you also have to be an advocate for your kids when it comes to going to the doctors or their health and well-being. So a lot of people are very passive when they go to the doctor, and they just take what the doctor's saying, and, that's law. And yes, I do. Like, you have to find a doctor that you trust and that you can have a conversation with, but you also know your child and you know their needs, but you better be able to communicate those needs, and you got to learn and read up on the different things that, may be affecting your own child. I'm not saying to be like a complete defiant patient, but I think you should be an advocate. So if you feel like your kids need something, you have to trust your gut, and you have to ask the right questions and research things on your own, because you can really make a difference when it comes to your kids' lives when you're trusting yourself and you're trusting what your kids are communicating. And in only that way can you really make them healthy. That's one of the things that as a nurse, I feel like I had an edge when my kids were younger, and now when they're older, when I go to the doctor, I know in that visit what I should be asking. I come in prepared. I'll ask questions when I'm unsure of something, and I'm not afraid to do that because I feel like it's your kid's health, right? And so it's really important that you get knowledge on it, and the more knowledge you have on whatever specifically is bothering them, that you're coming in with your own arsenal of knowledge, and you have the right questions to ask so that you yourself can become educated with the doctor and work together to come up with a good solution, whether it be affecting their mental health or their physical health. I hope all of this is stuff that, I know you guys already know this stuff, but it's just reminders for all of us. And even as I'm doing the preparation for these episodes, it helps me too to remember what I need to do for my own physical health and wellness, and also for my children. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please share with me what your routine is like with your health and wellness. And if you want to share a recipe here or there, I'm down for that too, because I love new recipes to make things exciting and new. And so thanks again for being part of this community, and I hope that we can all keep well together. For more information on this podcast, please log on to blackbeltparentingpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe to whatever you're watching or listening to this show on. Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Black Belt Parenting Podcast. Remember to stay resilient, stay compassionate, and keep nurturing those Black Belt parenting skills. The Black Belt Parenting Podcast is produced and recorded by Press Record Studios.